on Spotlight. Ozempic, weight loss, and the new year. What's the smartest strategy? We'll break it down. Plus, a trailblazing Sumner High School grad whose courage helped the fight for equality. And then a radio broadcaster's new calling to help kids fight cancer. But first, an unlikely love story born in World War II that defied the odds. It's Sunday, and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
So here's a question. Which of the Allied countries in World War II, in desperate need of nurses, turned away thousands of qualified patriotic volunteers simply because of their race?
Society at large didn't want to see black women in uniform. So a very small number actually served.
And Eleanor Powell was one of them. Like many black nurses in World War II, instead of tending to the wounds of their countrymen, they were assigned to care for German prisoners of war being held in the United States. The Army theorized German soldiers, who had been fighting on behalf of a racist regime, would not become attracted to women of color. Apparently, Frederick Albert missed the memo. How did they meet?
It's a great story, really. So apparently, Frederick, his assignment was to work in the mess hall because he was a great cook and an excellent baker. And this is what he shared with his children and his and other family members. He said he saw her when she walked in, and it's like he was under a spell.
Frederick and Eleanor became enemies in love.
I think it was youthful rebellion. I think they also were madly in love. But they were taking major risks. I mean, here you are, have an American nurse in the Army, and he's in Hitler's army. So we are enemies at war. So she could have been court-martialed had their romance been discovered.
But now their story has been discovered by journalist Alexis Clark, who spent years documenting this incredible story of courage in a time of war and marriage in a time of hate.
It's a collision of Jim Crow and Nazism. Even though we're at war, these are two countries that have racialized laws. So they both were committing crimes. So you really think about, wow, they erased all of that. And so I think, yes, they're young, they're rebellious, but they also hated what their countries were putting forth and selling this racism, because that's not what were in their hearts either.
And there probably weren't too many people who had the same experiences, background, attitudes in the Army. The fact that they would find each other is pretty amazing.
I think so too, because they really weren't ever supposed to be with each other when you think about that time period.
Well, really, it's called enemies in love, but they weren't on that level enemies at all. It seems like the enemies were their own countrymen and women.
I agree. Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Do you think if they would have met somehow later in life, older, they would have gone ahead and gotten together, or was this sort of a moment of youth?
I think youth was on their side for sure. And not that you're young, that you're not thoughtful, but I do think there is something, there is more wisdom and more fear as you get older. You know what this world can be like. So I think it helped them that they hadn't experienced that much of life yet.
Well, the book is Enemies in Love, and it's terrific. And Alexis Clark, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. A profound feeling overcame Frederick when he spotted a beautiful, tall black woman. Incapable of concentrating on his kitchen duties, Frederick bypassed the POW waiters and walked right up to Eleanor. He looked her in the eyes, smiled, and said with a German accent, "You should know my name. I'm the man who is going to marry you."
Watch the full interview to hear more details about their beautiful love story at HECmedia.org. For more St. Louis stories, subscribe to the HEC YouTube channel, Spotlight STL from HEC Media.
New Year's resolutions. Many times, weight loss is at the top of the list. New Year's or not, thoughts of losing weight top the daily to-do list too. But actually doing it is the hard part, unless it's...
Ho, ho, it's magic, you know.
Yes, magic. Or could it be...
Ozempic.
No wonder why thoughts of Ozempic are hard to discard. The talk of it is everywhere. Even knowing someone obese when one day the weight is there and almost overnight it's gone. And then the talk of, I know, Ozempic face. But really, Ozempic and similar drugs, properly prescribed, are really helping people.
So there's a class of weight loss drugs, GLP-1s, as we colloquially call them, and these drugs really have changed us, our whole ability to fight obesity. These drugs were originally designed to treat diabetes. We've also found other benefits for them. Historically, weight loss medications were pretty dangerous. They had pretty poor efficacy, but these drugs are much more efficacious than ones in the past, and they've really helped us in the fight against obesity.
And so the Ozempic era is upon us. Dr. Caitlin Merkin is the director of bariatric surgery at Mercy. She's here to break down the good and not so good about what's been called the Ozempic epidemic.
I think that's referring to that there's been a drastic increase in prescriptions of these medications over the past couple of years. Perhaps with America, 40% of our population is overweight or obese. So a lot of us suffer from this disease. So we're all pretty intimately aware of ways to treat it or, looking for hope of ways to treat it. Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, these are kind of the more popular companies that mass produce these drugs. Some of the drugs that you've heard of are things like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound. Those are some of the bigger drugs out there.
Dr. Merkin says the drugs are for people who are truly obese, a BMI of 30 and over, or people who are overweight with related diseases and complications.
BMI over 27 with weight-related comorbidities. They're at risk for heart disease. They're at risk for diabetes and later needing toe amputations or having sleep apnea and even at risk for other cancers. Not intervening upon them puts them at the risk for a sequelae of a lifetime of comorbidities.
She says people with some weight to lose and no big health concerns should try making lifestyle changes such as going on the Mediterranean diet with regular exercise. But these seemingly difficult lifestyle changes may be undermined by the popularity of the Ozempic craze.
You do need a prescription from a licensed professional to access these drugs. But are these drugs being mass used and perhaps abused? I think there's a great possibility of that. For a period of time, there was a shortage of these drugs because they were so wildly popular. And at that time, compounding pharmacies were allowed to create these drugs. So that created a lot of online pharmacies, a lot of pharmacies that weren't so reputable, creating these drugs and selling them to people. Every med spa, I've heard of gyms, I've heard of salons, I've heard of chiropractors, like all kinds of different people are coming out and selling these drugs to people. And with that comes a lot of danger because there's not quality control, right? They're not getting the drug that was actually designed and made by the company and is quality tested. I think there is the possibility that people are kind of abusing these drugs and not using them when they're truly obese.
GLP-1s, like Ozempic, are for life.
Over half of people that start these drugs are not taking them within 6 months to a year. These drugs are designed to be taken for the rest of your life, so it is kind of a commitment, and they come with some pretty high financial burdens.
It's magic, you know.
But with magic or Ozempic, something so good isn't possible without consequences or change.
Patients have told me they tried the drugs, maybe they stopped it for financial reasons, maybe they stopped it because they couldn't tolerate the drugs, and what they describe as after stopping it is a voracious hunger and a rapid weight gain. And there's risk coming with the medication. We want to help people, and obesity is a real disease with, a lot of consequences that come from not treating it. Whether you're trying medical weight loss, surgical weight loss, or just kind of healthy behavioral changes, you can't get out of the healthy behavioral changes. Diet and exercise are a cornerstone to any weight loss journey. You got to put in the work. But I think these are great tools if used the right way.
HEC Media has 6 YouTube channels, including science, history, art, authors, Black History, Achievement, and Culture, and all things St. Louis. Find your favorite, then scroll down to explore HEC Media's other partner channels, all on YouTube.
History Spotlight, brought to you by HEC Media and the Missouri Historical Society.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jody Sowell, President of the Missouri Historical Society in St. Louis, and this is History Spotlight. In 1913, a segregated St. Louis hotel became the unlikely stage for a quiet act of defiance. When Victoria Clay Haley walked into an all-white suffrage convention, she refused to be turned away. Public historian of the African American History Initiative, Cecily Hunter, tells the story of a trailblazing black suffragist whose courage helped shape the fight for equality.
Victoria Clay Haley might not be the first name that comes to mind when you think of local black women who had a significant contribution to our history, but she should be. Haley walked into rooms that she was deemed a problem, but she continued to relentlessly advocate on behalf of the black community. Haley was born in Macon, Mississippi on January 1st, 1877. Though she was born in Mississippi, she spent many years in St. Louis and graduated from Sumner High School in 1895. She quickly became instrumental in the city's public school system as a teacher and soon took on many more community roles. In a space that black women were not welcome, newspapers plastered her name in headlines about the commotion that she caused among the white delegates of Mississippi who were in St. Louis attending the Mississippi Valley Suffrage Convention. But her resistance and activism were certainly not accidental, but rather strategically crafted to fight for social and political rights. It's no wonder that she discouraged excluding black women from vital conversations about their rights to freedom and democracy. Beloved within her community, Haley held positions that allowed her to travel widely. She was elected vice president of the YWCA, and Governor Herbert S. Hadley appointed her to the Board of Managers for a specialized state board of commissioners that oversaw the Industrial Home for Negro Girls, a state reformatory school dedicated to educating young women. She also served as the Royal Grand Matron of the Order of the Eastern Star in Missouri. Beyond that, she was president of the St. Louis Federation of Women's Clubs and active in the National Association of Colored Women. Politically engaged, she also worked within the Republican Party. Haley was the first woman selected as a state deputy of the Order of the True Reformers in the United States and served as a superintendent of Sunday school at St. Paul AME Church. Haley had an illustrious career that wove together her gift as a teacher, a fraternal club member, an activist, and a community leader. She lived a life of service that shaped how she saw the world and how she navigated within it. She reminds us here today that here in St. Louis, each one of us has the power to contribute to our own circle of influence.
Next, on History Spotlight, a look at a New Year's Day menu from 1875 St. Louis.
Theron Barnum was born in Vermont in 1803 to a family that worked primarily in the agricultural and railroad business. In the 1820s, he was invited by his uncle, David Barnum, to visit his hotel in Baltimore. It was named Barnum's Hotel, and at the time, Barnum's Hotel had a reputation for being one of the best hotels in the United States. And Theron really took to this and kind of learned all sorts of things that he could while he was working with his uncle, kind of apprenticing at his hotel. He and his wife, Mary Leigh Chadwick, moved to St. Louis, and with the help of a man named George R. Taylor, Barnum's Hotel was built at 2nd and Walnut in downtown St. Louis. So the cost of the building was close to about $10 million today. Barnum's Hotel really kind of gained a reputation for their food offerings, and especially a ragu that they made, which had a really secret recipe but was really, really highly favored by all kinds of different guests, local and traveling alike. And we have a New Year's Day menu from 1875 that, really gives a lot of insight into the type of delicacies that were being offered at Barnum's Hotel at the time. And the menu contains both food and drink offerings. Notably, the drink offerings contain a whole section of Missouri wines. And winemaking was a really established tradition in the Missouri area since the Creole period. And a closer look at some of the food offerings show all kinds of extravagant and unusual things by today's standards. Things like a galantine of teal duck, a crepinette of peacock that was fried and breaded and served a la Russe, as well as a loin of antelope that was roasted and served with a side of sweet potatoes. And more familiar offerings, though, can be found if you look at the condiments and sides and desserts. Things like tomato ketchup, Worcestershire sauce, boiled mashed potatoes, and then desserts like mince pie, fruit cake, ice cream, chantilly cream, candies, all of those types of things could be found in that part of the menu. And it really kind of gives a great insight into what would have been, a really extravagant feast. And Barnum continued to work at the hotel and live in the St. Louis area until his death in 1878. And travelers and locals alike continued to visit Barnum's Hotel until it was demolished in 1890.
To learn more about the Missouri Historical Society, visit mohistory.org.
HEC Media, bringing you culture and community. Find all of HEC's positive programming and award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
The snowdrop is the hardiest flower in the world. It blooms when there's still ice on the ground. And when you meet a child with cancer, their will and spirit is indomitable. They have the strength to say, I'm going to beat this cancer.
Snowdrop Foundation co-founder and St. Louis native Kevin Kline, nephew of actor Kevin Kline, got his start in radio more than 30 years ago, writing news at KMOX. Eventually, he left the area to work at radio stations all over the country. His final stop was at 93Q in Houston, where he spent 16 years as an on-air host. While there, he took part in a radio telethon, raising money for kids with cancer. That would change his course in life.
It was an eye-opener when I saw these kids getting a potentially deadly disease through no fault of their own. I didn't know that kids got cancer until December 15th, 2005.
It was on that day that Kline met a very special young lady. Her name was Chelsea.
Snowdrop Foundation and our lives, Trisha's and my life, is all because of Chelsea from December 15th until today. And it will continue to be that way.
Kline struck up a friendship with the teen and her family. It was then that he and his wife Trish formed the nonprofit Snowdrop Foundation as a gift for Chelsea's 16th birthday. It was a gift that she was able to see firsthand. But while everyone was hopeful that she'd pull through, sadly, Chelsea lost her battle with cancer in December 2006. A month later, Kline would run his first marathon in her honor.
Snowdrop Foundation actually has taken on the persona that Chelsea had. Chelsea was all about inclusion, all about family, all about not having met any strangers. And once people come to a Snowdrop event, they're in.
I'm Michaela Durrett.
I am Timothy Meyer.
I am Thaddeus Turner. I'm a childhood cancer survivor of nasopharyngeal carcinoma.
The Snowdrop Foundation's mission is to give scholarships to college-bound pediatric cancer patients and survivors while raising awareness and funding for cancer research. Even with this big mission, the Snowdrop Foundation is a small nonprofit with just a handful of employees and some 500 volunteers. They are based in Houston, Texas, but they've given more than $5 million in scholarships to kids all over the country, including some right here in St. Louis.
But it is literally the most rewarding thing we've ever done. We don't have kids. This is kind of like we adopted a whole hospital. So we'd have lots of kids who are going to college, and we'll get notes that, oh, I graduate this year, I'm getting married, and we get invitations.
To further raise awareness for childhood cancer and keep Chelsea's memory alive, Klein ran the Dalton Highway in Alaska in November 2019. It's known as the loneliest road and one of the most dangerous roads on Earth. And don't forget about the bitter cold temperatures, which can drop to 50 degrees below zero. Klein spent 18 months training for the run, including lots of hours on a treadmill inside a deep freezer.
Oh, the whole purpose of delivering hope was to take names of pediatric cancer patients to the virtual top of the world, which is how they feel when they ring the end of their treatment bell. It was a big undertaking, and only one time during the run, 9 days, 304 miles, did I think that I was losing my life, and it scared me. It scared me big.
Delivering Hope chronicles his preparation for the race and a friendship that was formed with the film crew. That crew would not let him give up, even when he felt physically he couldn't finish what he started, carrying the names of those fighting cancer and those who lost their fight with the disease.
When a child passes away and we've followed their journey and we know their family, it's very discouraging.
The documentary has picked up numerous awards all over the country.
It really showed us that we have a powerful movie, number one, and then number two, that it can affect people that don't even know us or that don't know Chelsea, and that's really what we want with the movie. We want people to see that there are these instances out there you can help in any way, shape, or form, and it's so easy.
To learn more and get involved with the Snowdrop Foundation, visit snowdropfoundation.org. You can find the stories featured in today's show along with past episodes and more at hecmedia.org/spotlight. During a snowy 5-hour closure in Colorado's Glenwood Canyon, bluegrass band Elk Range gave an impromptu performance that turned the situation into an unforgettable dance party on the mountain highway. The captured video went viral worldwide.
We looked on our phones and realized we were going to be there for hours. And it's dumping snow and blowing, and it's cold and it's miserable, and there's snow on the highway. But we're in this beautiful canyon, one of the most spectacular parts of Colorado by far. And Betty's like, why don't you guys grab your instruments and we'll just play on the highway for some people.
We've had people, I guess the car directly next to us, they were from Australia, and they said that it made their daughter's whole holiday. She was just
We got a cartwheel.
Yeah, she's out there cartwheeling behind us and dancing, and Australia, and we've been contacted by people from Hawaii.
We got I think well over 3 million views, and we tried to respond best we could to all the comments, and there were thousands of them. And there was this one woman, Ken can take it from here. This is a sweet story.
Yeah, she said, I know exactly where you were held up. I was in a traffic stop shortly after you were in it. And she said, my husband was a musician and he's been gone for a while, but I happened to have his ashes in the car. And I stopped and we listened to your performance, and I dumped his ashes here on the side of the highway. And your performance meant so much to me because I was able to be with him.
I mean, music just connects the spirit and the human form, connects pain and joy. It's, it just negates all the intensity and levels everything out so that we all kind of dissolve into one breath and one consciousness.
It took me most of my life to realize that music was something that I dreamed of doing and that I really wanted to do, and that it was, something that brings me utter joy that I can share with people. It's an honor to be able to do that. Not everyone gets to have that opportunity, not only to live part of their dreams, but also to share something with people that's, so intrinsically a part of who you are.
All 4 musicians migrated from different American cities and now reside in Colorado and found a creative musical connection with each other.
To find, 3 other people who really understand what you're trying to convey in your songs, or, whatever your skill level is, or, they build you up and they really feed you into the better part of yourself.
What's interesting is I can probably speak for everybody and say that we have very different influences in who we listen to the most. Like, I mean, you're very traditional, bluesy. You like your country music. You like country music. I'm the hippie one that likes all the jamming stuff. But somehow we get together and make it our own brand.
The type of music that we play in the music community that we're in is really family based. Acoustic instruments and this, the roots of this music is hundreds of years old. It's Hills music. The blues has influenced my music a lot, of course, growing up in St. Louis. That music is old. It's a purely American art form, and there's so many other genres of music are worldly, but blues is American. Bluegrass is American, and it's lending itself from all of these other traditions, but really it's a sense of belonging, and it's a community, and it's really tight-knit community, and I think at the end of the day, I want people to feel something.
When we play live, we play with each other, for each other, but then for that, I think that higher awareness that whoever, like Ken was saying, whoever taps in to what our personal experience of these songs are, gets something out of it. And it doesn't necessarily matter what it is, as long as it's something. And so to be that catalyst for each other and for others is, it will always be, no matter what position we're in. If we have instruments, we'll play them.
Next week, Spotlight moves to its new permanent home on YouTube at Spotlight STL. Like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next year on YouTube.